First of all, allow me to actually introduce myself again. My name is Eileen. I'm Head of Creative Innovation at ADA. So I have over 10 years of experience in brand development, creative and art direction, social media management, developing digital branded content, app and website development, UI, UX, and also CX. So I work with brands across multiple verticals, industry verticals, such as retail, FMCG, automotive, financial services, insurance, telecommunications, property, and technology. So to name a few of my clients, such as Agatha Group, Tropicana, Quaker, and so on, as you can see on the slide. So what I want to focus on today is that in this new digital era, right, where everything is so fast-paced and consumers' behaviors are changing so rapidly, and they are shifting towards the whole digital lifestyle. Website currently is like, or I would say it's now more or maybe equally important as your physical retail store. So when you look at building or revamping your existing website, we often find ourselves asking this question: which is more important? Is it the content or is it the web design? And which should I focus on? And which should be my priority? So I would say that look at content and design in an equal manner. Both are equally important, right? So a well-designed website is nothing without the content. And similarly, a website with amazing content is nothing without the right presentation. So you need to look at both concurrently. And like what Johnny said earlier, not all problem is interface problem. So what are the other aspects that we need to look at? So things like your brand story or your consumer journey, in the tone of voice that you put into your content, or even the adopting technologies and innovation into your design, all matters, because it's all the experience that you want to bring to your consumers or your audience when they stumble upon your website, right? So today, I want to share with you the 5 steps framework that you can use as a guide when you start thinking of redesigning or designing your website. So start with a brand story, then identify the tone of voice, map out your consumer journey, understand who are your target audience, identify the persona, map out the consumer journey. Then fourth, look at what are the latest technology and innovations that you can incorporate into your website. And then only you think about how do you design it, and then curate content based on what your findings on, right? So let us go to the step 1. Craft your brand story. So you need to tell your brand, you need to tell your audience, what does the brand stand for? Okay, what is the brand proposition that you want to bring to the market? You know, what are the reasons for your consumers to believe in your brand and your product? Then you need to identify what are the values that you want to champion as a brand. You need to answer to all the why and how your products and your services can bring value to your audience and your consumers. Right? Then you need to identify whether is your brand new to the market. Then you need, if your brand is new and nobody knows about your brand, then you need to create the whole awareness to tell people about who you are. Then if it's a new product, as in it's the first first in the market and there's no other competition and whatsoever, then you need to start creating the buzz around it, and also maybe you need to map out the whole educational journey of getting to know your product and what your products can bring to them. So all in all, you need to look at that as well. So if your product is an existing product, right, then you need to look at your competitors. What are they doing? Then you need to identify your unique brand proposition and value that your brand can bring to your consumers. So on your website as well, you need to also identify the goals and the KPIs you want to achieve at the end of the day. Is it for awareness? Or is it for conversion purposes, where you just want to sell your product? Is it for advocacy, meaning that you want to have content that people keep on sharing? Or is it to generate leads, where you will want your salesperson to then follow up, after they will come and submit their information to you? So you need to identify all these unique opportunities or the experience that you want to bring to your audience to your website, right? Such as if it's a customer service, or even when during this whole pandemic and then the movement control and physical stores are closed, your website is your go-to market solution. So then you need to consider of how do you bring that whole immersive retail experience to their phones through the website. So you need to consider all this when you build your website, and and to also future-proof for tomorrow. So the next step, the example that I would share is actually the Tom's shoes, right? So what is the brand story is that when they first started selling the shoes, they said that buy one shoe and another shoe will help to improve lives of a kid who don't have shoe. So it's about improving lives. So you need to cater, or you need to build brand story around values, or a story that can help you educate people about your brand and believe in your brand, or even championing values like social issues like mental health, or equal opportunities among women, or and women empowerment kind of angle. So look at all this, and not just selling your product. Then identify the second step is identify the tone of voice that you want to adopt. Tone of voice is not what you say, but how you say it, right? So it is important because it's the expression of the people behind the brand. It will help you, or it will help set you apart from your competitors, because tone of voice that you adopt should be unique to your brand. So it helps you to build that emotional connection, and also the trustworthiness with your audience and also your consumers. So think of who you are as a person. Then how do you want to be identified? What are the personalities that do you want to adopt, right? Like, is it friendly, supportive, or you want to be seen as a helpful, humble, or if you're a lifestyle product or services, then do you want to be adventurous? So like how Red Bull position themselves. So think about the right tone and the voice that is able to help you influence and persuade your consumers. Then keep your tone and manner simple with clarity, and also avoid using all the jargons, because so then you can reach out to consumers who don't even understand the technical aspect of your product. Okay, then you need to, the third step example is actually like the Honda, right? When the whole COVID situation, you can see on your main page is that we'll get through this together. So you can see that there's the empathy, and Honda is here to help, and they are very helpful, right? Or you can see a local one, which is the Axiata, where they create a personal tracker tag, like, because it's all loved ones that matters most. So tone like this shows you that you're empowering lives, and you are there to support as they go through challenging, tough times. So these are some of the samples. Then the third step is to map out your content to consumers' purchasing journey. When you create your website, think about the audience personas that will come to your website. Map out your content to the purchasing journey of each respective persona. This is important because it will enable you to build a seamless navigation journey as the audience browse through your website. So your content will then be able to tell them a compelling story, answers to questions that they have before or when they stumble upon your website, educate them about your products, addressing all the pain points that they may have, and also lead them to down the sales funnel. So then explore multiple content types, such as blogs and articles, because this will help you build brand awareness and also educate your audience about your product and services. Then explore testimonial stories and reviews articles to help you demonstrate the success stories of the great services or products that you're offering to the market. Then maybe also you can explore video content. As you can see that the consumer's behavior has changed also, right? And then consumers are more connected than ever. So they are actually spending more time watching content on their mobile phones or online. So you have to ensure that you have video content or bite-sized content that is time-stopping, or that when they come upon your website, they will want to watch it, or that caught their attention. So you need to explore all those multiple content for according to your consumer journey experience. So such as this, for example, right? As you can see on the Maxis page at the top there, they cater towards different consumers. Is it a consumer, or is it for the business purposes, or is it for the hot link? Or even if you look at Nike websites, for example, you have caters to the different, like the men, the women, or even the kids. or even the customized sessions for people who look at customizable shoes or even special edition collections. So these are the things that you need to consider, like what are the categories that you're offering that will be different to each of the personas, right? And the fourth is actually technology and innovation. So as we all know that technology is important because it will help you bring in a whole immersive experience to your audience, right? So now, like I said earlier, when your stores are closed, how do you bring the whole retail experience to their phones, or to their phones, to their homes? So it's all the whole consumer experience or CX when they are on their website. It's not just about the UX, it's also about the CX, like how they interact with your brand outside of your website as well. So you need to explore the whole technology in terms of such as your 3D, your augmented 3D of your product, or augmented reality, where they can actually use their camera filters to try on the clothes on them, or even chatbots as a function as your sales assistant, or even as your for customer service. So a sample that I can share with you is actually like a Honda website, where you can browse instead of going to the showroom, now you can view the cars in a 360 experience, or you need to click and drag, and then you can even change the colors accordingly. Right, so another website is actually selling a shoe, where instead of trying it or looking at it up close, now you can see the whole 3D of the product right in front of you, and users can just browse and navigate through. Then the whole AR experience on your left is actually the Purina one, where they bring the 28 days challenge of the dog growth into your home. So then you need to, and then you can also create a chatbot like Ava, as what AirAsia has built to attend to all the customer service inquiries and all that. So once you know what you want to bring to the market, right, your brand propositions, once you understand your consumer journey, you identify the tone of voice, you can now start looking at developing content for your website and then design to impress. So you need to balance the content. You need to balance your content with the design to ensure that your website are not too sexy. So use a balance of graphics, images, or even play with some typography and animation to help you deliver your brand message across. So design elements such as like this example, where you can see that there's a balance of content, where you have images and then you have copy that are not so texty, but enough to tell the story across. And then you have elements that help you that encourage users to interact and stay on your website. So, for example, the web layout with elements that help users, such as the scroll down function, right? And then ensure that the design or the content that you create on your platforms is responsive and device agnostic. Meaning that if I browse through my desktop, I can still see the same content or the experience when I see and browse it on my tablet or my mobile device. So I would say that a well-designed website is nothing without good content. And similarly, a website with amazing content is nothing without brand story and the right presentation to bring that to life. So this is the 5 steps that I'm sharing with you. Okay, so I guess I'll leave the remaining time to Q&A.
All right, here we go. So let's see, we've got, all right, this one is from Christina. Hi, Christina. I think I remember him yesterday. All right. As a startup, understand that building a website takes not just time and can spend quite lots of money. My question is, should a business should have a website, or just social media platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram will suffice? Or will a website still need to be built for a business? Like, is it a must? I hope to hear your view. Thank you.
Okay, I think then it would be back to the first step where I said identify your brand story and what you want to sell from your perspective. So if you're a startup and you're selling a product and services, then you need a web presence, because your social pages are just pages that interact and engage with the audience, advocate about your audience, build the community. But you need a website, a platform there where people can come to learn more about yourself, to more about your brand, and also the products that you're offering. So I would say you need to have this, because it sort of like balance things out for you. So you can go to a social media page to look at what are the content that you are creating. It's about your brand personas and all that. But if I want to know more, then where do I go? Of course, it's your website, right? Where I can see if, let's say, you have a store location or you have a full range of products, and all that. So yeah, I would say both are equally important.
All right. Now this one is from Grunas. Eileen, oh, okay, let's just ignore this one. It's actually just a comment. Sorry about that. Okay, our next one is from Mahindran. Hi, Eileen. Based on your third key point, map consume journey, so is it suitable to use the website prototype as the map consume? Because in prototype, it will list down all the details of each page in the website, right?
I would say you need to understand who are because I said map the consumer journey, right? Like when you build a prototype, you already have a site map, you already have the whole envision, but you also need to think of each persona and what are the objectives that you want to drive your consumers to achieve at the end of the day. So let's say you have, your website, you have all your content, right? And then it's very hard to predict where consumers want to go. Right? They can go to your products, and they can go to your contact page, or they can go to your location, and then they go to about it, right? So these are all the scenarios. But then if, let's say, you have all this mapped out, for example, right? And when people browse through your website, they can see all these things and what you want to show them. So let's say you have a media, or you have a digital push behind it. For example, your ads is about the product, like one particular product. So you will link them to your product page. So when they stumble upon your product page, do you want to add a cart function, or then what instead of just product, do you want them to scroll down further to understand about your brand, or then do you want them to engage you to ask you more about this product, and then maybe you can lead them to a location page where instead of purchasing online, they can also go to your store. So you have to consider about all this architecture and not just mapping out content based on what you think is right. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, this one is from Dan. Now Dan is asking, which UX and UI would you recommend to get higher conversions and leads generation from an end consumer electronic brand? For an example, a wireless speaker.
Which UX and UI do you recommend to get higher conversions? I think this is more of a Johnny's session, right? But I would say understand your consumers' behaviors, right? Take a look at your if you have an existing website, look at it, right? And invest in probably a tool like a web analytics tool to help you understand your page performance. So when and then what are the competitors doing and all that. So then check and see what do you think is the right balance, because there is no principle, or there's no guidelines that say that this is definitely that will work, because consumers' behaviors are always changing, right? One day I don't believe in AirPods, but because I have to do so many webinars nowadays, I thought that AirPod is something that I want to invest in, right? So a wireless speaker and things like that. So this consumer behavior has changed, and when people want to buy it, they don't really browse through things; they really know it. So when they go to your website, they just want to purchase. So you have to cater to all those different needs and different consumers' challenges that you may face. So I would say explore and identify, understand your web analytics, where people spend more time on, and then maybe look at what's wrong with that page or what's that site, and that if, let's say, a certain page costs a very high bouncing rate, then identify what's wrong. Yeah.
Completely unrelated to our webinar, I actually bought the AirPods like for the exact same reason you did. But I totally understand, because like we do so many webinars now, it's so much easier to just not have like the wires tangled up here. So yes, in a completely unrelated sense, I understand.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Just to look nice.
Next. And for convenience.
Yeah.
Our next one is from Alvina Ng. Do we see the website as a repository of resources, or should we keep it lean and phase out info?
I would say if you're existing business with a lot of info, you can use it as a repository of your resources. You can. I mean, more is always definitely better. Because you want people to know what your brand stands for. If you are a legacy brand, then what have you been doing all this past decades? What do you stand for? So if you're just starting out, with a startup business and all that, you don't have a lot of information, then keep it lean and phased out your content in phases. Yeah. So you may want to set up a website which is very informative at first, where you don't have a lot of articles or blogs. Then as you progress, and when you have success stories, then you may want to add in your blog function, or your testimonials, or maybe you can start creating thought leadership articles on your website and things like that. So you can look at that depending on the company's stage that you're at. Yeah.
Okay, I think like most part of it actually just relies on the response you get, throughout the stages of as and when you decide to update.
Correct.
Okay, so this one, our next question is, now when there are millions of websites available for consumers, how do I make my website design unique?
Okay, then it goes back to the brand positioning, right? What do you want to bring to the market? And then you need to identify that tone of voice, the message that you want to share across. Then how do you then translate this content or this message into your design, right? So for example, if you look at Apple website as it is now as compared to maybe 5 years ago. 5 years ago, it's all about white interfaces, it's very clean and sleek, and you can see all the images of the products clean and clear and sleek and all that. So now you can see also the trends that is moving, it's now dark mode. So when you adapt to consumer trends, or when you look at consumers' behaviors and what they like, that is when you make your whole web design unique to your brand. Yeah.
Okay, we hope that answers your question. Our next one is from Lenny. Now, guys, keep those questions coming. We actually are very much ahead of time, so ask Eileen as much as you'd like to know, and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability. Our next one is from Lenny. Hi, Eileen. I would like to ask what to do when a brand doesn't have a unique selling point and is pretty much the same just as any other competitor.
Okay, then it would be down to your whole consumer journey. So what is your service? What's your after sales service? Or what is the service, the customer experience that you want to bring, the user experience? So you may have two shops, right? You may be selling shoes, I may be selling shoes, or I may be Puma and you may be Nike, right? Both of us are selling the same product. But then what is unique is then the experience when I come to your website. Is it easy purchase? When I check out, then can I do my transaction easily through e-wallet, or if I don't have credit cards, then can I do it via online transaction and all that? So all these integrations of the tag payment gateways, even if then after I make my payment, I'm able to log in to check on the status of my product delivery, track my packages and all that. That will make that whole unique experience unique to your brand, and that is when you can stand out among your competitors. Yeah,
that really does make a lot of sense. All right.
Yeah.
Next one is from Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Nice to see you here again. Now, Jackie was actually our top fan of yesterday. He won 100 gig worth of exabytes credits, and of course, you can do the same today. All you have to do is just keep sending us questions, talk to us. So Jackie's question is, for a small business, we cannot afford to create interesting CX websites like Honda. What is your advice?
Okay, then I would say if you can't create 3D experience, or you have the rotating and all that, you can look at plugins that may be available to help you achieve that through photography. So you don't need to invest in hiring 3D artists to 3D rendered amazing 3D products for you, but you can look at how photography can help you stitch it into a 3D as well. So look at all the options that's available. It can be pricey, but you can be smart enough to find cheaper solutions to help you on that. So if you don't want to explore, even buy plugins for a 3D experience, so then look at maybe capturing pictures, a close up of the products, or maybe in multiple angles, and then design it in a way that is appealing or tastefully done, and that will attract your customers' attention. And when they look at it, that this is the product that I want to purchase. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, cool. Now this one is from Erica. If my blog content is a further explanation or informative guide where I link from my frequently asked questions, how thoroughly do I need to include customer journey map in that content?
I would say your blog is not exactly something that you map as a consumer journey. I mean, like, it's by the way, right? So let's say I would to say it can be something that you append to the products that you're selling, or it can be part of the information that people would want to know more about your brands and services. So it's okay that you have your FAQ as part of your blog, because then it will help you amplify the message, because not many people would spend their time reading FAQs, right? Like I would spend my time reading a blog or an article on your website that talks about, okay, like 5 ways to wear this top, instead of going to FAQ and say that, okay, is it returnable and things like that. So unless you think that you may want to know, then you will go to the FAQ. But then a blog is actually more inspiring and sets you apart from your competitors. So
I think the engagement factor also lays in the blog as well, because like once you can engage people, they wouldn't actually have to go to the FAQs. It sort of just balances each other out.
Correct.
And saying,
and also it helps you with the retention as well. So if you don't have content that engages with your consumers, right? They will click to your website and then they will just leave. But if you have articles that can help them to be that is inspiring to them, that helps them, that's helpful, that's educational, then that would be an extra advantage. So think of blog articles, not just your FAQs or how you why FAQs, but think of content in a more purposeful or more valuable to your consumers. Yeah.
All right. Our next one is from David. Now, must you build a customized web page, or just use a template, is just using a template and sufficient to create a website?
Okay, so if you're looking at just starting out, I would say use templates. Then you can always customize it according to your brand, right? Your brand guidelines, your brand assets. Change here and there. So I wouldn't say it's necessary, because when you if you build your website from scratch, you're actually more prone to bugs, because if you're not technically savvy, or if you're not a proper programmer, then you may face that. So then that would actually hinder the whole process, the whole experience when user comes to your website. So balance it out. If you have the resource to hire someone professional to help you customize your website from scratch, or to a unique experience, so be it. If you think that you do not have the budget, then just explore the existing templates and then try to see how you can customize it accordingly to your brand. Yeah.
Okay. Now this one is from Donna. As a creative individual, we always tend to be innovative, pushing ourselves to be better, finding great ideas, and etc. Do you and your team experience burnout? If so, how do you overcome burnout and stay motivated while leading a design team? How do you work through that as an individual and as a creative lead? Donna's got some really deep questions today. I love it. Keep them coming, Donna. We love them.
Oh, wow. Okay. I think this is a good question, right? So I personally been through the whole thing as well, like leading teams. When they burn out, I burn out as well. So it's actually a very good question in terms of through my work experience, is that, okay, so you say that how do you overcome burnout and staying motivated? Is actually ensure that you actually have a balanced work and personal life. So how do you, then people ask me, how do we achieve this? Like You know, like if you're in the creative industry, sometimes the working hours can be so unpredictable, and then because of our clients demands and all the tight deadlines, you just need to work, right? And there's no balance. But then try to strike a balance, because if you don't try, you will then burn out at the end of the day, because this is for your own for your own personal health as well. So what I did was I actually been through the whole process as well. So what I did was I ensure that when I reach home, my laptop is out of my reach. Or even if I have to work at home now, working from home, I ensure that my laptop is on my workstation, or I have a designated place where I work. And then if I think that I need a break, I'll just leave that space. I will walk out of that space, or maybe I go to my bedroom, or or go to my bathroom for a spa or something, or relaxing, or even just lay out my yoga mat and do some stretching and meditation. So you need to ensure that you yourself have the discipline to have that balance. If not, then you will not be able to achieve that. You will continue to burn out. And in order to stay motivated, is of course develop a close relationship with your team members. As a team lead, I don't see myself as a leader. I see myself as a friend. I don't see myself as a boss. I don't see okay, I don't want to be bossy, but I want to be a friend to my team members, because when you have that bond, or when you have that friendship, it makes things easier, because then when you work together, it's no longer about work, but it's like a collective effort to achieve a goal together. So yeah, you will not see it as work anymore. Yeah.
And also, I think just to add on to you, I think when you work collectively as a team, and when you have that strong bond, it makes it easier to address mental exhaustion, because I think it's something that most of us are so afraid to say. Like, we ourselves can't admit that when we are tired, when we're burnt out, we just can't admit it. And that's why we actually get burnt out. So I think that when you have that strong bond, it's easier to talk about. It makes it okay that, yes, you address that I am tired, but I will get through this. And I think that's a very important point that you brought up, Eileen. So Donna, I hope we've helped you in some way. If you'd like to know more, you can always contact Eileen, or
Yes, I'm reachable to LinkedIn as well. If you have any questions that you want to ask, you can always reach out to me.
All right, perfect. Okay, our next one is from Christina. What do you think should we put in our website page first when we first create a website? You guys are writing tongue twisters, but okay, here we go. That you think would be comprehensive for a startup business must have. Can you give some content listing to start us to create a website?
Okay, and then like I said earlier, you have to identify what do you want to sell. Okay, is it a service or is it a product, right? So if it's a service, for example, like a Gao team, right? I want to talk about the safety issues. I want to talk about the trustworthiness of my brands. But if I'm a product-focused company, a business, then the product has to be the center stage of how I built the website. So it has to center around that product. So imagine your website as your store, as your store, in the physical store that people will walk in, right? So what do you want people to see when they first stumble upon your page, right? Is it if it's a storefront, is it the signage, or is it the window display? So if I'm a product focused, then I want to have my window display displaying my products, my latest collection, or the latest products and all that. So that would be your focus. And then when they walk in, what are the range can they see? What are the product range that I can see? Not just what I show on the main page, which is your banner, right? Which is your landing page banner. Then as I browse through it and when I go to your website, what are the ranges that you're offering? What are the other services or the products that you're offering to me besides that? Then you go through the whole, that's why I said go through the whole purchasing or the consumer journey, that and when they browse through your products and your services. So what do you want to tell them? So bear in mind that you need to know what you stand for as a brand, as a business. Then think what your consumer wants to see, and then craft that to your whole for your website. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Okay, up next, this one is from Daniel. Is it possible to address two extreme persona, which can be small entrepreneurs and large enterprise? Or should we still choose one only?
I would say there's always a possibility of catering to two extreme personas, but then you still have to identify who is your primary and who is your secondary. So for example, a business can be a B2B and a business can be a B2C. So you need to understand that when I talk to B2B, is it the stakeholders and the investors that I'm talking to? And then the consumers are the end people who purchase my product. So you need to ensure that you have page or content that caters to this different persona, right? So let's say investors, then I may need to have an investors related page content that will then talk about what they need to know about the company, who are the people behind it, what are the investments or what are the roadmap that you're looking at and things like that. So when you're talking about consumers, then you need to think about what do they want to achieve when they stumble upon your website, right? Even if let's say B2B, it's your larger audience, but then you may have consumers that would would believe in your brand and to ensure that you have the brand visibility, for example. Then you need to cater to those the two target audience. Yeah. So I mean, example that you can see is like I would say example I showed earlier was like Axiata, right? So Axiata Group itself, it's a telco group company, right? So they are more to a B2B or a B2G to government, right? But the thing is, then they also have to cater to the consumers because then they have the smaller business, like the Celcom, or in Malaysia they have the Celcom, and then they have the Boost, the e-wallet, and all that. So you need to see, people need to know about you, and they also need to know what you're offering. So you need to have a balance of who you are in terms of what you want to tell them.
All right, right on. Okay, our next question is, what are good e-commerce and product websites that you personally like or would reference?
A good e-commerce and product website. Okay, I actually like running a lot. I used to run a lot. So, I mean, recently I've been looking at purchasing a new running shoes. So you can look at On Running Cloud shoes. So what I like about them is that I like how they show the experience, right? First of all, if you look at their website right now, I'm not sure if I can do a screen sharing, but it's a very unique shoe, right? Where they have pods at the bottom instead of a flat sole. They actually have pods, and they said it's like running on clouds. So then they create a whole experience, right? When you stumble upon the website, the first stage is the whole experience of what is it like running on clouds, right? Then they sell you the experience, what are the benefits, the USPs that the product brings to the clients or the consumers or the users, and then only they start selling the product. And you want to know, you learn more, or you then click onto the web page or the product page, and then you, instead of seeing the add to cart and all that at the site, but what they show me is actually the full more detailed images of all the products, close up, or if I can play a video, it can show me the 360s or a talent in actions and all that. So it gives me the feel, and it encourages me to actually want to purchase it. So things like this is something that I would say I like, because it's not like when you go Lazada, sometimes you see products and sometimes the video doesn't match the experience that you want. So if let's say you can map out according to the personas that I said, like what I want to see. So as a runner, I would want to see how the products help me when I run. So that's key. So when you show it on your e-commerce website, then that is something that I can relate to. Then it will be something that I would like to see. Yeah. So you can check that out actually. Then it's on cloud running shoes.
Oh, okay. So if you like, perhaps you could leave the link for Dan later on in like the answered questions. And I think what you've just said relates a lot to what Marissa had to say yesterday. So for those of you who were here yesterday, Marissa talked about, websites creating desire in people at first. So like you have to create that desirability by showing ownership in that sense. And I think you talked a lot about that, when it comes to running in clouds, and then they give you the benefits following. So they're kind of just guiding you to make that conscious choice of like, this is why you should choose our products. And I think that's what makes a very good website. So if you could share the link for everyone here, that would be great. Yeah. And of course, for those of you who are still watching, keep those questions coming. We are going to answer one or two more. I just realized it's 12 o'clock time has just flown by.
Wow.
Okay. I think we can answer two more. I mean, we basically are the last
sure.
speaker of today, so no problem. Let's continue on with two more questions. Okay, this one's from Andras. What do you suggest the changes in website designs and approaches for agents who are selling on behalf of a company?
Website designs and approaches for agents. Well, are you saying that, let me understand your question. Are you saying the company's website or is it the agent specific website? Right?
Perhaps,
I would say keep your web design relatable to the company that you are selling on behalf, right? I mean, because when I look at the colors, for example, if I'm selling, let's say, Korea insurance, I want to keep it blue because that's how I relate to the brand. So if let's say I'm selling for Korea and I have an orange color, then I'll be like, okay, how do I relate to you selling a Korea insurance, right? So I mean, bear in mind that you need to consider who are you selling on behalf, and then design your website accordingly to the brands or the company that you're selling for, and then also then design the website, or if let's say it's your individual personal website, then design it according to your personality, right? If your the tone and manner, the copywriting of your copy in your website is also important, because then if you show that you are humble and you're helpful and you are here to help them, that would then be your own personality and you as yourself, and not the company. So you have to know what you want to sell at the end of the day and who you want to link it.
All right. Okay, let's do one more question. This one is from Linux. I'm trying to minimize the content on my website, so I plan to remove the contact form and replace it with a live chat. Do you think that will work?
Yeah, live chat is like a chatbot, right? So definitely, because chatbot, if you implement it well, it's able to help you record all the conversations as well, and then you may have a database at the end of the day. So if you implement it well, then you definitely do not need a contact form, because people will just go to your chatbot and leave a message there. Yeah.
Okay, there's actually a continuation of that question, and that continuation is, do you think the chatbot is better than live chat with a real person?
Okay, I would say look at it, and I would say look at it in a two different lens, right? So if you already have a resource of a real person tending to live chat, right? So then continue with that. But let's say if you don't have a 24 hours real person behind that chat function, then you may want to consider a chatbot if the customer service is something that you want to ramp up or for your brand. So you need to consider that, and how do you balance it? Yeah.
Okay. Now, Eileen, we're going to have to wrap things up. But before you go, where can all our participants contact you? Can you leave your contact details for us, perhaps?
Yeah, you can reach me through LinkedIn. Let me share my. Hold on. I think you can reach me through my LinkedIn page.
Perhaps if you could leave your contact details in the chat box, that'd be great. It's also everyone can access it there. There's no issue. But yes, feel free to contact her on LinkedIn. And really, we just like to thank you so much for joining us today. Now, Eileen, I do have to let you know that we have some unanswered questions. So if you could go on and answer those, once our webinar ends, that'd be good as well. But thank you so much. You've been such a joy to talk to. I know we finished early, and the thing is of work, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have half an hour. How are we going to do this? And like time just went by so quickly. You've been such a joy to be around. So thank you so much for being part of WebFest 2020 and for all your input. Really, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Thank you for having me as well. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yes, bye.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.